Hey guys, welcome back. It's Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
She's trying to figure out what's going on.
I am trying to figure this out.
She's just looking at my screen, and I've got Steven Universe characters making out because that's
not what they're doing.
Yes, they are. They're making out.
Oh.
And then they fuse together, which is basically sex.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about cartoon sex because that's what the topic of discussion is. The cartoon fandom has a puritanism problem, and they're talking about, Tumblr and LEWDs, LEWD art. And, we've talked before about how, with a situation with Tumblr, how they were cracking down on that kind of artwork. And we've also talked about people working in the animation industry currently that have produced LEWDs.
Well, this sounds like they're mad. The fandom's mad because they don't want the animators being pervy.
But they themselves go out and be pervy. This is really complicated. We are trying.
I'm trying to understand this.
Trying to follow this. It all stems from this Medium article on. It says kids' TV has a porn problem, and they're talking about the behind-the-scenes antics of some of the people.
Yeah, we've heard.
Some of the people in the animation industry. And also some of the artwork being produced, where some of these people have come from, and that they're letting, allegedly letting creepy people into the animation industry. And then why are people surprised when people are creepy once they get there? That's the allegation. Basically they're finding
different artists and they're talking about and different
all the LEWDs they've done, yes.
And then what they've done. Okay, and talking about different studios and how they do porn, and then they go and turn on to kid shows.
Yeah, and they bring up Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah, because of Ed and Eddie.
And we mentioned that in a live stream before. People were shocked, but yeah, that's been common knowledge. Rebecca Sugar did some lewd artwork of underage Ed and Eddie all making out together, like threesome.
Have you been to Tumblr? Have you been to Twitter? Have you seen the Shiva Katra stuff? Katora stuff?
Right,
just saying.
Right. So yeah, does the animation industry have a problem with the lewd stuff? Yeah, because a lot of people watching these cartoons aren't the intended audience. I would say. A lot of these shows are produced for young adults, and young adults have hormonal feelings, sometimes for cartoon characters. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Just saying, if we had more kids actually watching these shows, I don't think we would have as much of this kind of content on the internet. But let's see what CBR has to say.
I'm trying to follow
this. Caught my eye, and of course we've got,
caught your eye. What's it say about you? No, I'm kidding.
Steven, sometimes I like to go out to Tumblr and look up my Steven Universe LEWDs. My space lesbians is Squid King.
I'm looking up a divorce lawyer. No, okay.
Yes, Squid King does. He was actually making. I used to watch Steven Universe till it got really boring, and he's like, "Oh God, Dad's watching his space lesbians again."
Yeah, he did. He's like,
at first I liked it, then it just got boring. Anyway, before we get into the video, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on CLOWNFISH TV. You guys have been awesome. We're almost to 50,000 subs. I think we're like 100 away. So please subscribe if you have not done so already, because we're going to talk about the LEWD cartoons. Cartoon fandom has a puritanism problem. It's okay to be lewd. So apparently we've got more harassment going on in cartoon. I remember this happening with Steven Universe. Yeah. People working on Steven Universe too. Over the past few weeks, fans of the new Disney Channel animated series Amphibia, which I have not seen yet.
Nope, haven't seen.
Have harassed the show's creative staff. Never cool. With storyboard artist Hannah Iobi, I think, accused of supporting child abuse. So if you go out to this link, it says, I'm going to try to summarize the Amphibia drama below as much as I can. It's basically saying that she drew some lewd art of the characters on the show. Why? Because she drew Grime, a toad of indeterminate age, carrying Sasha, a 13-year-old girl, and the two of them blushing. Well, I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. It's not as bad as Ed and Eddie crawling all over each other when they're bare-ass naked, Rebecca Sugar. Anyway, this is a drawing that some have called pornographic.
It isn't.
Which it isn't by any stretch of the imagination. As for Grime's age, Iobi, I think it's Iobi, has stated she interpreted the character as a teenager who's simply ugly and deep voiced by being virtue of a toad. Others have interpreted Grime as an adult, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's where it gets creepy. Nonetheless, Iobi and her friends in the animation industry have been smeared as pedophilia apologists. Actually, it's more beastie stuff.
That's what I would think. That to me. But,
don't-
I think
I'm
they're getting
not-
those two mixed up there. But go ahead.
Maybe their cheeks are red because they're hot. Not hot in that way, but
Or maybe they're just trying to make him look cuter.
the Amphibia drama is emblematic of a troubling trend among some segments of animation fandom. Call-out culture toward both animators and other fans is being taken to unreasonable extremes.
There's a lot of things taken down to reasonable extremes, CBR, with shows. And I'm just pointing that out there. If you watch any of my She-Ra videos, Just saying.
There are like 24 people responsible for all the shows. And these shows are being produced by Tumblr artists for other Tumblr artists. So you're gonna get.
This gets better. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
Keep reading. Get right. Or the language of real concerns, ranging from representation issues to actual sexual misconduct, get weaponized for an agenda that could be described as puritanical. No, it gets weaponized for an agenda that could be described as media bullshit. So yeah, you guys weaponize all the time. You constantly do. Pot or kettle. Pot or kettle. I told you could be pot. I'm kettle. I scream, whistle.
Ms. Kettle to you. These people demand animators keep their online presences as G-rated as the kids' shows in which they work. There are two trains of thought here. One is if you're representing like Disney or Cartoon Network or something, and these kids go out and Google.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Who is the artist who draws Steven Universe? And you get, here's Rebecca Sugar and naked Ed, and Eddie crawling all over each other.
Probably not a good look.
You're gonna be like, oh my god. So I guess I can see from that point of view.
But they're going on about online presence is G-rated as the kids shows which they work. But let's get one thing straight. These shows aren't for kids.
No,
they are not for kids. No matter how much you try to say they are for children, they most definitely are not for children. They're for these people and their friends.
Yep.
Almost all of them. And I love how it's okay. It's totally okay for these images that are, risque images that could, be with underage people. Yet these same people were the ones screaming that that they're have to make She-Ra younger because that way guys can't fap to her because she's underage now. And then they made images that were wrong, that were underage. You know what I'm saying? There's this complete, again, double standard that is always there.
Over cartoons. Medium article published by the user BrazyDay titled "Kids TV Has a Porn Problem," which we looked at here. Has been circulating on social media. It's an incredibly frustrating article in that it makes a few justified points and follows up with a ton of absurd false equivalencies.
CBR, you should feel right at home.
You should, CBR. You do the same.
You do the same damn thing. It just doesn't go along with what you want.
Do the same thing. Okay. When a bad take enjoys as wide a reach as this one has, it needs to be deconstructed. When a bad take is circulated more than a comicbookresources.com article, and we're insanely jealous, we need to attach ourselves like parasites.
We don't agree with it. It's a bad take. If it was a good take, they'd be all over it. But it's a bad take because this person doesn't agree with it. So now we gotta do it.
So they're defending porn, I
basically.
think. Okay. I just want to see what their stance is. First off, let's acknowledge what BrazyDay gets right. There are actual creeps within the animation industry and fandom.
Of course.
Many of the Newgrounds animators mentioned in the article make undeniably offensive material, and in Shadman's case, such material is actively abusive toward real people. And the brony fandom is the most notable. Blame it on the bronies, but certainly not the only example of a fandom in which individuals failed to keep raunchy fan art away from all age spaces. Not all animation fandom spaces, however, are all ages spaces. She-Ra isn't.
Well, I'm thinking you're thinking the Ed and anything, but go ahead.
If proper age and content warnings are provided, there should be no reason why someone's NC-17 Twilight Sparkle Pinkie Pie fanfic should be treated as some egregious moral crime.
This person write a Twilight Sparkle Pinkie Pie fanfic?
This person's butthurt.
Is this based on personal events?
If you don't like it, you don't have to read it. And if a professional creator like Gravity Falls' Alex Hirsch or OKKO's Ian Jones-Cordy finds gross fan works of their shows amusing, it really doesn't matter so long as they neither act inappropriately toward others nor put such gross content into the shows.
Well, that's not untrue.
Themselves. So they talk in particular about right here. Zone. They say a good example. This is from the Medium article. They say a good example. Zone Sama, one of the premier Rule 34 artists who has maintained popularity into the present day, Zone rose to prominence by making extreme porn animations. I've never watched their work.
I never heard about this at all.
So if I'm mispronouncing or not understanding what's going on, it's because I don't watch extreme porn animations of children's TV shows.
No, that's not something we do.
In the 2000s and 2010s, often with shockingly accurate recreation of each cartoon's art style. Targets included Foster's Home, My Life as a Teenage Robot. Is that her dad? Oh, God. One of which features the, gang rape of Jenny. Teen Titans and beyond. Since around 2016, one of Zone's recurring subjects has been Peridot, a childlike character from Cartoon Network's Steven Universe.
Yeah, but she's not a child. Anyway, whatever.
Nah, she's not. Around that time, Zone was also hired to animate for Cartoon Network's OKKO. So they're making porn of Steven Universe while actually working on a Cartoon Network show.
Yeah, that I can see where there's a little issue here. I mean, only the fact that if kids go to look up who this person is and that pops up, now like they said, if it was behind places where it says you're not supposed to be in there unless you're 18, that's one thing. But if it's out there and it's not,
yeah,
that's, as a parent and a teacher, I'm kind of like, okay, good.
Yeah, so they're just talking about Newgrounds and how a lot of the Rule 34 artists have basically worked their way into the animation industry. Okay, so that seems to be the gist of this article, which is very, very,
long.
very, very
I'm not
long.
reading this.
Very, very long. So it should also be accepted that personal art portfolios and social media accounts are not going to follow the same content standards as daytime Cartoon Network shows.
But it also should stand to reason, if you want to work on daytime Cartoon Network shows, you're not going to be putting up Rule 34 art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Disney. I mean, they might be able to let it slide at Cartoon Network, but Disney's not going to like it if you're out there making.
I'm just saying,
dirty pictures of.
If you want to work on these projects and you want to work on quote unquote kid shows for kids, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to make sure you're maybe you hide your portfolio so that that's not safe for work, or put it in a place that they said marked 18 and over, something like that, because these kids are going to look you up and they're going to find it. And their parents are going to find it, and it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a point here, because they do talk about how creators do stuff for kids and not for kids. Neil Gaiman did American Gods and Coraline. Robert Rodriguez, who did Alita, did Spy Kids, as well as Sin City and Alita. So the idea that artists who work on animated children's shows must keep their other work exclusively kid-friendly is excessively limiting. But again, I think it comes down to, I mean, if it wasn't for the internet and kids being able to Google showrunners, or Google people who work on the shows, and then like I said, you Google, and I'm not trying to single out Rebecca Sugar, but you Google Rebecca Sugar and you come across that article that has her pictures of Ed, and Eddie bare ass naked crawling all over each other, and it got picked up by like Cartoon Brew. Yeah, it wasn't like it was out on just a journal page somewhere or Tumblr or whatever. It was actually picked up by a media outlet praising her porn. As a parent, I'd be kind of like, what the hell are you watching?
Yeah, So I'm saying, like, what? Not that you can't do it, but you might want to make sure things that are like that, you keep behind something that's marked clearly that's for adults or something. You somehow make sure you mark it as such or something like that, Yeah, and I think too, the lines are being blurred. Like, who is the target demographic for animation now? And more and more, it does seem like these shows, especially on Cartoon Network, are more for young adults than they are for children. Right, that's the truth. I'm sorry. They kind of try to keep saying it's not for you, it's for kids. No, it's not. I
don't think too many 8-year-olds are going to go out and find Rebecca Sugar's lewd Ed, and Eddie art, but I guarantee you, some curious, 18, 19, 20-year-old people are going to go out and find it. Again, this is...
Raise your hand if you're going to go out and look up the Ed, and Eddie art now.
We actually put a link to it in one of the videos. It's been out there for years. Like, I don't know why everybody was surprised. But, yeah, I guess it comes down to, like, at what point do you have to separate your personal life from your, like, work life,
I don't know. But I guess my thing is, I think everybody should be allowed to do kid stuff and adult stuff, but I'm also in the thought of, I'm a teacher, because I'm going to look at it differently, and I'm a mom, and it's like, if I wanted to work on things like that, I don't know, I'd be conflicted, because if I was going to be, my focus has been kids. If I'm doing things that are kids, I'm going to stick with things that are kids. I'm not going to go out and do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things that are adult pornographic things. and then go teach kids. Because to me, it would be like, you know, that just wouldn't feel honest. But that's me. Other people might not have that problem. I'm just saying, just make sure that kids, you put it in a way that kids aren't getting into it.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Well, I said that Trigger is, you know, one of the best anime studios in the world, and they produce a variety of content, some of it problematic, none of it pornographic. And there's nothing creepy about contributions to Steven Universe and OKKO, but yeah, there are studios out there that they actually do produce like straight up like hentai, but then they do other anime that's not offensive either. And you know, I don't know what to, you know, they talk about how she deleted Rebecca Sugar deleted her live journal post. They've been archived.
They're out there.
Like, that's the thing too, you gotta realize with the internet, and I think a lot of, you know, she did those drawings when she was in college, so she never imagined that someday she'd be working on a kid show. But that's the difference now, where the internet never forgets, really. And those drawings were picked up by mainstream media outlets. It was even before she was on Steven Universe. It was on Cartoon Brew, and they were talking about how good her art was. And here it was like Rule 34, you know, 2 naked teenage boys rolling around. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Why is this a news article? You know, like, why are you making an article?
You can end a lot of these with, why is this a news article?
So the last points the article makes against Steven Universe are the absolute worst, while acknowledging the fusion between gems is a metaphor for many different types and aspects of relationships.
They're called aspects of relationships.
Look.
It's fusion. When
they're
you fuse
having
with somebody, it's usually something else.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Voltron fuses, the lions don't do a little dance and spread their legs. I'm just putting that out there. Well, one lion does stick its foot up the other lion's ass to form Voltron, so I guess, you know, maybe you could say it's
tails.
Sexual. No, it's actually, there's a slot in the lion's butt where the foot of the black lion is inserted into both the yellow and blue lion to form Voltron.
When a yellow lion and a black lion fall in love.
The black lion puts his foot in the yellow lion's ass to form Voltron. So yeah, I mean, look, the gems are totally having sex. They're totally having sex. They had the one where they're like, I mean, kids aren't gonna get it for the most part, but they had the one fusion dance with Garnet and Amethyst, and she's like literally like spreading her legs, and Amethyst is like diving in between Garnet's legs, and that's how they fuse. I'm like, come on.
I know.
It's not even subtle.
It was pushing it. I'm sorry.
You know, because the show's not for kids, it's for like 20-year-olds. Anyway, but I watched it because I did. I don't know why. It wasn't because of that. I just you're giving me weird look, but I liked it for a while until it got boring. Then I dropped it. So acknowledging the fusion between gems is a metaphor for many different types of relationship. Okay, blah 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 blah. It goes on to presume that most instances of fusions are metaphors for sex, because it is, and then they get married. Garnet gets married to Garnet's self, and then they fuse together.
I mean, Ruby, Mary, Sapphire.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It goes on to presume that most instances of fusion are sex, and it makes an even wilder presumption that fully grown characters in the show are coded as children.
That's what I will argue with that. They said that Peridot is definitely not a child. They're not. They're. I thought they were like adults, and they're genderless. I thought they were kind of like, they didn't really have ages either. You know.
Now this, I don't agree with this either. They're like they argue the shorter gems, Ruby, Sapphire, and Peridot are children involved in sexual situations. No, I never got that.
You watch the show, that you know that's not true.
Peridot always reminded me of like, you know, just some bossy little woman. You know, she never. None of these characters came off as being childlike to me.
I never got that either.
I never got that either. I think that's really reaching.
I will agree with CBR on that one.
Peridot is coded as autistic.
Okay.
No, she's just like, oh god. Hopefully people are able to see such animation fandom drama for the self-righteous nonsense it is, attempting to accuse artists of doing harm with their art, so as to excuse engaging in actual harm to artists. I'm torn on this. I gotta tell you, I'm really torn on this, because there's some really, really lewd stuff out there.
Yeah, I just want to say, let me go back to the bottom here. It's where's that? Hopefully people are able to see such animation fan dramas for self-righteous nonsense it is. Hopefully people are able to see the CBR media drama for the self-righteous nonsense that it usually is. Go ahead. I was just fixing the sentence.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think they're just trying. I mean, honestly, I think they're just trying to cash in on a popular article that's making the rounds right now. But
well, what can we say? I'm just saying.
Unlike Clownfish TV, which is a bastion of journalistic integrity. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I'm really torn on this one because I actually can see both sides of it.
I can see both sides on this.
I am really torn on this one because I'm like, I don't think it's anybody's place to tell other people they can't make, lewd drawings or, in their spare time, even if they're working for another company.
That's how you make money on Patreon.
Yeah, that's what keeps your Patreon alive. I'm not going to tell them they can't do that, but also be aware that, there might be repercussions if you're doing that kind of art and you're working on a family-friendly show or whatever, and some mom has a fit because,
their kids went out and looked you up and that they found something they shouldn't have seen.
Look, I looked up at Ed and Eddie and oh my God. Yeah, so, but again, this all of this I think can be traced back to cartoons today not actually being for kids. They're basically, the cartoonists are kind of creating cartoons for themselves. If kids watch them, that's great.
I just think it's more about like the internet being an open book to everything, because back in the day, people did kids shows and they did their own stuff, and some of it was very adult and it was been going on for years.
Disney animators used to draw some pretty lewd, but it never got out. It never got past the studio.
Right. It just was their own thing and it wasn't out there like it is today. And a lot of these artists trying to get gigs, post the stuff, trying to get attention, and it gets them attention, it gets them the gig, but it might bite them in the butt later. And I think the internet is actually the cause for most of this.
No, I would agree with that. I would say, just as a rule of thumb, just if your goal, your long-term goal is to work on a kids show, you might want to watch Doing the Rule 34 stuff, because the internet never forgets. And it might come back, whatever you draw today might come back to haunt you in 10 or 15 years.
Right.
You don't know what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be. I mean, look at Rebecca Sugar. I'm sure if she had a time machine and could go back and talk to herself in college, I'm sure she would probably tell herself not to even post those online. Right. Because she's going to be working on a kid's show. Well, alleged kid's show. But you know what I'm saying? Because that it does. And that happens a lot with people who work in children's entertainment. You get stuff that comes up, all the time. So just be good. Yes.
Yep, that's all I'm saying.
Or use a different name or something.
Oh, yeah, that's always true. You can always use a different name. That's actually a very good idea too. I mean, if you want to work in kids programming and but you also want to do these things, use a pen name, like a fake name.
Dr. Penises.
No,
don't use that one. I'm gonna trademark that one. That's gonna be my pen name for all my lewds I'm gonna draw.
Yeah, right. We don't draw lewd things because my mom will find it. Sorry.
What's this drawing under your bed?
No, we used to joke we're gonna do our character Crimson Wren. We were gonna do 50 Shades of Crimson, but because that's the only way we're gonna make money on Patreon.
That's literally the only way you can make money on Patreon now, yeah.
And we didn't do it because we didn't want kids to look us up and find it, and also my mom would find it, and then I have explaining to do. Sorry, Mom, but we didn't do it, Mom. Don't worry.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are. Leave a comment, because I'm right, literally.
I really can't see this.
This one throws me because a lot of times I'm sort of like I'm kind of leaning one way or the other, and this one I'm just like I really can see both sides.
I can too.
So, all right. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. This has been Neon and Geeky.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.